Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So in this fourth video we will be configuring the domain controller and doing a lot of other stuff. So let's just get started. So before I start, in the previous videos, at the moment, as you can see, that I have both of my virtual machines, which is one of them is the OpenSense router, another one is Windows Server. Both of them are running up and fine. So it's a best practice to take screenshot or snapshot of the machine when they are in working condition. So if anything goes wrong, we can just revert back to those snapshots. So in the production environment, this is how they usually do it. But at the moment, since I'm running a VirtualBox, I'm going to take a snapshot here. But in the production environment, they have their own software by which they take a snapshot of the virtual machine. If they are in on-premises, if they are on cloud, like for example Azure has options of taking snapshots of the virtual machines. So we will be doing that as well. So I'm just going to click on here, and at the top click on machine, take a snapshot. Is going to ask me to name a snapshot. So since for this snapshot is the fresh installation, I'm just going to write down fresh. It's my habit because I usually change the passwords and stuff, so it's my habit of in the snapshot description I usually mention where I am at the moment. So I would just say fresh installed, not yet promoted to DC. And I would also say username is administrator and the password is something XYZ. So the reason why I do this is because whenever I am working on a virtual machine, I usually remember the password, but as you can probably see in the background that I have lots of virtual machines here. So it's really hard for me to remember all of their passwords. So that's why I usually do this. But writing the password in the snapshot description is not the best practice. So I would just say this should be enough. And I would press OK. As you can see, it's taking the snapshot now. It's going to take some time. And similarly, I have also taken snapshot of my OpenSense router as well. Okay, about 5 hours ago. So let's get started. Also, before I do that, let me show you how the whole infrastructure is going to look like. So I am using a simple online tool called as draw.io. So if you just search on Google draw.io, is going to take you to this page. It's a flowchart maker where you can create bunch of flowcharts and you can connect them. So it will show you which is connected to which machine or which resource and how it's connected. So it's a pretty good way of visually representing what you're doing at the moment. So I'm just going to cancel this. I have already created this before to explain what we are doing. So as you can see that this big cloud represents internet, and this is our OpenSense router. And as you might remember that our OpenSense router has two network interface cards. One of the interface network card is going to be connected to the internet, and the other one is connected to our domain controller or Windows Server as of yet, because it's not yet promoted to domain controller. So to show you that, I can just bring this here. If you can see that the WAN EM0, it's connected to the internet via DHCP, which is 10.0.2.15, which is here. So this WAN 0 is going straight to the internet, and this the other network interface card, or NIC as you can say short for short, is connected to our Windows server, which has the IP address of 192.168.1.1. okay, and in the same way this network interface card is being connected to the local adapter of our Windows server. I'll show you that in a minute as well. So let's see what IP address these have at the moment. So this now currently has the IP address of 102, so 192.168.1.102, but I will be assigning it a static IP address of 1.10 because if we are promoting this machine to the domain controller, it's really important that domain controller have static IP address. So let's just get started, and this is how it usually is. So as you can see, it's a pretty basic diagram of showing of what to do, of what we are doing, and as we move ahead I will probably add more components to it. Okay, so the first task we are doing on the machine is going to be, we are going to rename the server first of all. Okay, so let me just zoom into the server. So we are here on the server now, and if I go into the server manager, and if I go into click on the local server here at the left top, as you can see that Windows has assigned it some random name which is like digits and numbers as well. So we don't want this, we want this to be of correct naming schema. So it's asking me if I want to rename the computer, so I will just select change, and here's the name. So I'm just going to change it to DC01 or domain controller 01 for short. I would just press OK, and it's going to restart the computer for the changes to apply. So I would select OK and close. So we can restart now, but since we are changing a lot of other features as well, we have to do a couple of restarts. So I'm just going to do the next configuration as well at the same time. So this was the renaming of the server. Now we will assign the static IP. So from the desktop, here is the computer icon. I will just select right click on it, then click on open network and internet settings. Then I would go to change adapter options, then Ethernet. This is the local adapter. So I would just select right click on it and properties, and here I will select Internet Protocol version 4 TCP IP. I would double click on it and this would open this prompt here. Okay, so as you can see that it is currently getting an IP address automatically. Because we have selected the DHCP option for LAN. Let me just show you that as well. So it clicks. So here if you see on the screen, the LAN EM1 192.168.1.1 is set to DHCP. So since it is set to DHCP, it is assigning the IP address, and similarly it has assigned the IP address of 192.168.1.102. So as you can see here that this is the IP address assigned to the machine. Let me just zoom in again. So this is the IP address assigned by DHCP, but we don't want that. We don't want dynamic IP address. We don't want the IP address to be changing all the time. because there will be other machines which will rely on this domain controller. So the second thing after renaming would be to assign the static IP address. So I'm just going to assign 192.168.1.10. You can assign anything. I'm assigning 10 for just for easy remembrance. You can assign 1, 2, 3 up until 254. So subnet mask is going to populate automatically, and the default gateway is nothing but the IP address of the router. So what's the IP address of the router of LAN 1 of OpenSense? It's 192.168.1.1, and it says use of the following DNS server addresses. So since we will be converting this Windows server to a domain controller, it's really important that we point its DNS to itself, because we will also be running a DNS server as well on this machine. So it's a best practice that we never point the DNS to the internet. So if this were a regular machine, and if I want to point it to a DNS, I would probably go with something like 8.8.8.8 for Google, or maybe 8.8.4.4 or something like that. But since this is going to be a domain controller, we never point this to the internet. It's really important that you remember that. So everything seems all good. This is the default gateway. This is the preferred DNS server. I will just press OK, then OK again. Then I'm going to restart, because we need to restart this machine for name change and for IP address change as well. So it's just going to restart now. I'm going to stop the video and resume the video when the restart process has completed. So it took some time and now it's currently restarted. So I'm just going to press Ctrl Alt Delete from the top here, and once I do that, it's going to ask me to log in. So as you can see, it's really important that you remember this. Now it's currently showing us that we are logging in as administrator, but once we convert this to a domain controller, this login page will change. So we will have our organization / the username. Currently it only has a username here. So let me just log in. Okay, so the server manager is now being opened. So if I go into local server again, I can see that the computer name has been changed to DC01, so that's great. And the IP address has been assigned as 192.168.1.10. But here if you see at the bottom, it says no internet, it says. But that's really strange, because if I go into a browser, let's see if we can browse to google.com. No, so we cannot browse to google.com. And if I open a command prompt and if I try to ping the Google DNS, we are getting a reply. So my computer is able to connect or go to the DNS, but it's not replying back with Google. So the reason for that might be that we have not restarted the OpenSense router as well. So let me just quickly restart the OpenSense router. So while it is restarting, I am just going to work on our Windows Server. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to resume the video when the restart has been completed. Okay, so the OpenSense router has restarted and it's still not able to go to internet. That's good because it's already connected. As you can see, it's able to ping the DNS servers. The reason why it's not connecting, and it's perfectly fine as well, is because the DNS we have pointed it at is itself. So we are pointing the DNS at itself, and if I happen to add the DNS of Google, and if I do that, you might see that this page will start working again straight away. So this is the problem, and it's not actually a problem. This is in fact done intentionally to make sure the domain controller are not connected to the internet. So I'm just going to delete this back again, and now we are ready. So if I reload this page, it should go away again, since it has already queried Google. It should stay there. Now if I try to browse some other website, it should not work. So that's the expected behavior. So that's the second step completed. The third step we are going to do is we will be installing the roles of DNS and ADDS on this machine. So I will click on Start, then Server Manager, and I will click on this Add Roles and Features. Then I would select Next. We will be selecting role-based or feature-based installation. The other one is a bit advanced and it's not covered in this video. So Next, and this is the domain controller that we have currently, and this is the IP address that we just put on. So I'll just select, it's already selected, so I'm just going to select Next, and here I'm going to install Active Directory Domain Services, add features, and at the same time I'm also going to install DNS Server, add features. So I'm just going to select Next, then Next, Next again Next, then Install. So it's just going to take some time for the installation to complete. I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to resume the video when this installation has completed. So now as you can see that the installation has been completed. So we can just restart this server. So it's just going to take some time to restart as well. So I'm going to pause the video again and resume the video when it has restarted. So after the restart, let's enter Ctrl-Alt-Delete again. So now we have installed the Active Directory domain services and the DNS server as well, and I'll quickly show you that before we promote this to a domain controller. So as you can see, Active Directory domain services has been installed and DNS server has been installed as well. And how I can tell is because if you see this sign here, this exclamation mark, the yellow exclamation mark here at the top, shows that this server is now ready to become the domain controller. So if I click on it, I should see the option here of promote this server to a domain controller. I would just click on that. It's going to open this workflow, and when this is completed, I'm just going to select add a new forest. So we are going to add a new forest. So this is the root domain name entering area. So for example, if you own a website, for example, if you own google.com, you would enter google.com here, and that's the way you can create your own domain root domain name. But since I don't own any website, I'm just going to go ahead with some name, which is going to be some company name .local. So if you are doing this for an organization who doesn't have a website, who doesn't want to add their root domain name, you can just add their company name .local. This is how it's usually done in the production environment. So I would just write corp.local and I will select next. So forest functional level Windows Server 2016 should be fine. Domain functional level 2016 should be fine as well. If you remember that this is a Windows Server 2022, but this list will not have Windows Server 2022 for the reason. If you want, you can probably search why it's not there, but it's not relevant to ours. However, know that you can always, after you have made it a domain controller, you can use the command line prompt, or you can use the PowerShell command to make this Windows Server 2022. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this as default. Domain name system DNS server global catalog GC, I'm just going to let it be as ticked. And read only domain controller, make sure it's not ticked because we don't want that. And this is just going to be the directory service restore mode password, DSRM. So this password is usually used for restoring purposes. So I'm just going to create the same password as I have of my administrator, but this is not the best practice. So in a production environment, you would have a really long password here and here as well to confirm the passwords, really long password for recovery purposes. But just for this video, I'm just going to keep the same password. Then I will select next. We don't need that, so leave it as default. Next. So the NetBIOS domain name, this field is going to get populated automatically with the corporation name or corp name that I entered. That should be fine. Next. Everything else here is pretty much default as well, unless you want to change it. I don't want to, so I'm just going to leave it be. The only thing here we need to check is if all the prerequisites checks are completing and there is no error that's showing us. If you have exclamation mark, that should be fine. We just don't want the red error popping up here. Yeah, so all prerequisites check passed successfully. We will click install to begin installation. So again, it's going to take some time, and when that is completed, this time I'm going to restart the machine, and then when the restart is completed, I'm going to resume the video. So the computer restarted automatically after the installation. So I'm just going to log in now. And this time, as I said before, that the login page is a bit different. We are no longer getting the user administrator logo. We are getting the corporation, or we are getting the company / administrator. So that's a good sign of telling us that this Windows server has now been promoted to domain controller. So let me just log in. So now it has promoted to a domain controller. So we're just going to check some things here really quickly. It's still loading, so I'm just going to give it some time. Yeah. So as you can see, ADDS is here, DNS is here. I'm just going to quickly type so Active Directory users and computers. Let me just click on that. Yeah, as you can see that it has been installed. There is no user though, because we have not created that. We might do that in the next video. So that is working fine. If I want to quickly open DNS manager, I can see that we have DNS records here. So let me quickly open this. And if I try to browse to Google, it's working now. So that's great. So the DNS server is working, the ADDS is working. That means it has been successfully promoted to a domain controller. And now that's the fifth part. The sixth part is that we will be configuring the DNS forwarders. Okay, so in the DNS manager here, as you can see that we have our domain controller and other stuff. I'm just going to right click on the DC01 domain controller, then I'm going to select properties, then I'm going to click on the forwarders at the top. Then here we have the IP addresses and the server FQDN. FQDN stands for fully qualified domain name, I think. Yeah, fully qualified domain name, yes. So I'll just click on edit here and we will start adding the DNS. So I'll add the Google one and let's see if it resolves or if it fails. So I added a couple of DNSs here. Let's see. Okay, so these two have been resolved. This one has been resolved as well. Yeah, so this is all looking good now. I'm going to hit apply and OK. and this is how we have configured the DNS forwarders. So the internet was working fine before as well, but it should now be able to query every other website that is needed. Yeah, so as you can see, YouTube is working as well. Okay, so what's left? Everything here is pretty much completed. Yeah, the time is not completed. So if you see here that if you see the time it's showing me here is 9:41 p.m. but that's not what my time zone time is. My time zone time is around 4:41 p.m. at the moment. So as you can see, my time is 4:42, and here it is showing 9:42. So time synchronization is really important because all the login stuff and Kerberos mainly depends on time. If the time is more than 5 minutes apart, then the Kerberos tickets will fail and it will not allow users to sign in. So let's synchronize the time as well now. I'm going to open the command prompt with admin privileges. So the first command we will type is net dom query fsmo. So it's going to show us dc01.com.local. That seems all good. PDC. So PDC is what synchronizes the time, and PDC is what all the applications and users uses PDC. So we just need to synchronize PDC with time.windows.com. So I'm just going to type this command here. I'm just going to paste this command in the description, for you can just copy and paste it. And I hope that there was a way of showing it to you via the graphical user interface, but on domain controllers this setting is not usually done by GUI. It's usually done by the command prompt, so that's how we are going to do it. So I'm just going to type win32 tm /config /manual . So I've typed the command. This is what the command looks like. I'll just press enter. It says this is what the command should be. Let me just see if there's any typos here. This should be X and there should be no space here. Yeah, so the space was the typo. So as you can see now that the command has been completed, I'm going to stop the time service and restart it again. So to stop it, I will just type net stop w32 time. So the service now has been stopped, and I'm going to start back up again. So now it's starting. And we are just going to force it to sync now. At the same time, we will also check which location is it showing here. So it's showing US and Canada, which is not correct. So my correct time is this one here. And if I do that, this is now the correct time on my side. Now the way we can just quickly verify if it is querying the time.windows.com to sync the time, the way we do it is by typing w32tm /query space / status. If you see here, the source is time.windows.com. So as you can see that the source is now time.windows.com, and now the time is currently sync to where I am located. It's really important that the time is correct, because as I explained before, Kerberos ticket rely on time. And now for this video, the last step we are going to check is just some baseline settings. So for that, I am just going to check the Windows update. So as you can see, there are some Windows update pending. I'm just going to install them now. And I'm going to pause the video until that is done. Then I'm going to restart the Windows server, then log back in again, then resume the video. So after the restart, as you can probably see from the time now, when I was updating the Windows broke for some reason, and it was so slow. I gave it a multiple restarts, and even though it was not working, I was not able to open any window as well. It was taking way too long, and the installation update installation page was stuck as well. So I had no option but to revert back to the snapshot that I took. And once the snapshot was restored, I did everything else, but this time, as you might see, that if I go back to Windows update page, I have paused the Windows update as of now because I don't want it to break again. I am not too sure what was the problem. It was one of the updates which was not going through. So in a production environment, you always apply the updates fully, but since this is a lab environment, I'm just going to let it be as it is. That brings us to the end of this video. And also, before I go, I'm going to also show you how to install the VirtualBox add-ons. The reason for that is as you might see that there is a option of dragging and dropping files and clipboard. So clipboard is mainly useful because if you copy something, like for example the command I show you, if you copy that and if you try to paste it in the virtual machine, you will not be able to do that because the virtual machines doesn't have the add-ons. So to install the add-ons, you simply go to devices, then you click on insert guest addition CD image. Once you do that, then a CD is going to be mounted like this. So CD is going to be mounted onto this computer, and you have this. You just open this up, then look for VirtualBox Windows Edition AMD 64-bit, because our Windows server here is also 64-bit, so we will be running this. So once this is installed, you can, so it's asking me to reboot now because without rebooting it will not work. So let me just reboot now and I'll resume the video once it has rebooted. So after the restart, if I go into devices here at the top, or maybe wait a minute, you might have not seen that because this is only capturing this window, so let me just change it. So if you go into devices, there is the insert guest addition CD image. Once you click on it, it is going to be mounted here as a CD drive, and once you install it, the system will restart. And once you have done that, you go into devices back again, then you go into shared clipboard, then you change it to bidirectional. The reason for bidirectional is that if you copied something in your virtual machine, you can paste in your host computer or vice versa. And if you just put on host to guest, that means you can just do it one way, and guest to host is going to be one way as well, but on the opposite side. So I just usually use bidirectional. So once that is done, I can probably copy something and then I can just paste it here. So I can just paste something from my host computer. Okay, so I think that should be pretty much it for this video. We have covered a lot of topics in this video, and I think if you are getting a bit confused, you might want to do this maybe 2 or 3 times just to ensure that you get it all done correctly. Also, there's one more thing probably I should show you before I go. So the date and time, you might have seen that we did it via the command line interface, right? So let me just zoom into the video here. So as you might see that we change the time via the command line interface. However, there is an option here of sync now, which is now currently grayed out because we have promoted it to a domain controller. So if you want to do the sync now time, you can just skip all of that the command line interface thing, and you can just press sync now from here before the domain controller, before you promote Windows Server to domain controller, and you should be able to sync the time straight away. That is one of the things that I forgot to tell you. So yeah, With this, so the videos comes to an end, and thank you for watching up until now. In the part 5, we will probably create some users, some organizational units, some groups, and we will take it from there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.